Irritating debit card surcharges could be a thing of the past within 2 years under a major federal government crackdown. It's estimated Australians are slugged up to $4 billion a year to pay with their cards.
The government is threatening to ban the practice by 2026 and is forking out $2 million so the ACCC can examine illegal and unfair surcharges. Nicholas Hines is across the story for us. Nick, so take us through the details.
Yeah, certainly welcome news for a lot of consumers and for retailers, especially small ones like the clothing shops and cafes here in Middle Park, with the chance that these card surcharges could be banned by the start of 2026. The federal government saying at this stage it is more of a threat for the big banks than an actual fully fledged commitment. They're issuing a warning saying they want to see those excessive surcharges going, and if that doesn't happen, they will then introduce that ban by the start of 2026. The Reserve Bank estimates the consumers in Australia are spending $1 billion a year on card surcharges. Other estimates put it as high as $4 billion a year. And the federal government says that's hurting consumers and retailers, small businesses especially, often paying twice the card fees that are charged by the banks to bigger retailers like Woolworths and Coles. Here in Middle Park, I was just speaking to one cafe owner who was too shy to go on camera, but certainly not shy about using expletives to describe her feelings towards card surcharges. She views them as a scam by the big banks, which are really impacting the cash flows of her business. Certainly, I think that's a characterisation that banks might dispute, but it's a message the federal government has heard. The Reserve Bank is already reviewing card surcharges and the costs of card merchants, and now there's this extra $2 million going to the ACCC to monitor potentially illegal excessive card surcharges. If that's not enough to cut down on card fees, the government says a ban will be coming into force.
OK, Nick, thank you.
Well, Sydney-siders are taking stock this morning after they were battered by hail and flash flooding late yesterday. Miles Holbrook Walk is following developments and joins us now. Miles, which parts of Sydney were the most affected?
Well, Steph, it was the southwest and the inner west of Sydney, along with the northern beaches, that saw the highest falls. But there was isolated flooding in a whole range of parts of Sydney, in the southeast around East Gardens, as well as in Marrickville in the inner west, while there was a power outage as well in the southwest of Sydney, in the suburb of Greenacre, where about 100 homes were left without power and interruptions to their power overnight. Now, that's believed to be as part of this weather system where there was some damaged infrastructure and poles that were hit when there was high winds and rain falling right across the city. Now, that wet weather has continued this morning, as you may well be able to see behind me here at Observatory Hill. These showers, nothing quite like what we saw yesterday in parts of the city, but right across the eastern seaboard, we can expect to see storms right from Queensland down to Victoria. And I'll just talk us through some of the forecasts there. In New South Wales, you can expect to see a higher chance of significant rainfall in the north and northeast, particularly about the northern tablelands, whereas storms are forecast in a possible variety west and on the ranges in the central part of New South Wales. Now, down in Victoria, we are expecting to see partly cloudy conditions and isolated showers across the state. There is a chance of storms in the north and west in the afternoon, and they could be particularly severe in the afternoon in the west of the state. Up in Queensland, showers again forecast, and it's across the southern and inland regions that they can expect to see more falls, as well as right up in the northern region around the Tully part of the coast and the Cassowary and Daintree regions of Queensland as well, Steph. All of this comes as the Bureau of Meteorology has released their forecast in the last couple of days for the summer months, and they're forecasting a wetter and warmer summer, meaning that large parts can expect humid conditions and above average rainfalls during the summer period. As for now, just hoping the rain does clear here in Sydney, and it looks like it's getting a touch lighter now, Steph.
Miles, that's good to hear. Thank you.
To other news, Green Senator Sarah Hanson-Young is among those calling for an urgent investigation by consumer watchdog the ACCC into the ticketing of live music events in Australia. A Four Corners investigation revealed Live Nation and Ticketek have used dynamic pricing where ticket prices rise with demand. Law firm Gordon Legal says it will investigate, and a class action lawsuit may soon be filed against Ticketmaster. The parent company, Live Nation, has declined to comment.
Australians with a common genetic condition are being urged to consider donating rather than discarding the blood they routinely give. Patients with hemochromatosis or high levels of iron typically have blood taken every 12 weeks, and around 73,000 bags are discarded every year. The Victorian chair of the Royal Australian College of GPs says many people aren't aware they can donate.
Only about 60% of people who were surveyed recently by Lifeblood realised that they could use their blood for donation.
About 2 million households across Australia are skipping meals or eating less because they simply cannot afford the food they need. A report from the charity Food Bank found that in the past year, more than 1 million households had completely run out of food and did not have money to buy more.
Police divers have recovered the body of a man missing in South Australia's Riverland. A 42-year-old man named Joe was working as a fruit picker in the region and was last seen in the early hours of Sunday morning. SA Police and the SES searched a section of the River Murray yesterday before finding his body close to shore last night.
Tasmania's Treasurer and Deputy Premier has preempted a no-confidence motion by resigning from Cabinet. Michael Ferguson had been under increasing pressure over the Spirit of Tasmania replacement fiasco. Now, after shedding his infrastructure portfolio in August, he's moving to the backbench.
The Northern Territory's new Chief Minister is vowing to follow through on her government's election promises, despite growing calls for her party to rethink the changes. The CLP government is set to introduce new laws aimed at reducing crime, including lowering the age of criminal responsibility to 10 and bringing in tougher bail rules. The government is expected to use its 17-member majority to pass the new laws within 2 weeks.
OK, let's see what the markets have been up to overnight. The futures are up on the back of a rise on Wall Street. The Aussie dollar at roughly 67.2 US cents. Crude and gold fell in value.
And a NASA spacecraft has blasted off from Cape Canaveral in Florida on a $5.2 billion mission to find out whether one of Jupiter's moons, Europa, can sustain life. Europa Clipper is expected to take 5.5 years to reach the giant gas planet. Scientists believe an ocean exists beneath Europa's icy crust, and what the probe finds could change what we know about life in our solar system.